Nigerians of many faiths are pushing back against Donald Trump's claims that Christians are being persecuted. The U.S. president has threatened to take military action in Nigeria over what he says is the killing of Christians there and the failure of the state to protect them. The Nigerian government has rejected the U.S. president's claims and says jihadist violence affects many people regardless of their belief.
Nigeria is in the eye of the storm as U.S. President Donald Trump has said he was considering a range of military options in the country. This follows his threat on Saturday to intervene over the alleged killing of Christians in the West African nation.
They're killing record numbers of Christians in Nigeria. They're killing the Christians and killing them in very large numbers. We're not going to allow that to happen.
His claim followed Republican Senator Ted Cruz's post that the Nigerian government was enabling a massacre against Christians. This was promoted by some popular figures like U.S. comedian and TV show host Bill Maher, who said 100,000 Christians have been killed since 2009. But Lad Sawert, a senior Africa analyst with armed conflict location and event data accolade, has told DW News that the number is inaccurate and violent events in the country affect communities of all faith backgrounds.
Since the start of the Islamist insurgency in Nigeria's northeast region, and that began escalating over 16 years ago now, there's been about 52,000 civilian deaths in total across all of Nigeria, and this includes people from all faiths and for all sorts of reasons. So the claim of 100,000 Christian fatalities just doesn't fit the evidence that we have.
Nigeria's fact-checking platform Dubawa also told DW News that the claim of a Christian genocide in the country is misleading.
The Christians in the northern part that are affected by these insurgencies are minorities. Data is saying that there are 9 Muslims to 1 Christian who are affected by this insurgency.
Nigeria is divided between a majority Muslim north and a largely Christian south. The country has suffered from violent attacks from Boko Haram and other militant groups who have targeted communities, schools, and places of worship for over a decade. Conflicts along ethnic lines and land disputes have also worsened the country's insecurity. Reactions have been mixed among Nigerians since President Trump's announcement.
It's not only Christians that they are killing. They are killing Muslims also. Well, their ambition is good. That make them come and to help us for this terrorists.
They're killing Christians in America. They're killing Christians in Kuwait. They're killing Christians in Afghanistan. Why Nigeria? I mean, I'm not going to frown upon a good act, but then I'm not going to jump on it as well just because it sounds like, sugar.
Nigerian authorities have admitted having security challenges, but continue to deny the claims of Christian persecution. President Bola Tinubu has welcomed any assistance from the U.S. to fight terrorist groups if the country's territorial integrity is respected.
Nigeria's Minister for Foreign Affairs, Yusuf Tuggar, has rejected Donald Trump's remarks, preferring to emphasize the fight against terrorism, a priority for the Nigerian government. The topic came up here in Berlin, where Tuggar celebrated 65 years of diplomatic relations with Germany and discussed issues like security, trade, and energy cooperation with his German counterpart. My colleague, DW correspondent Tina Gerhäusser, sat down with Minister Tuggar to talk to him about his cooperation and the geopolitical challenges.
Warm welcome to you, Honourable Minister, Foreign Minister of Nigeria, Yusuf Tuggar.
Thank you for having me.
Germany was one of the first countries to start diplomatic relationships with your country 65 years ago. How important is that relationship today?
It's very, very important, and Nigeria is Germany's second largest trading partner in sub-Saharan Africa. Modern Nigeria was built by a lot of German companies, so Strabag, Berger, Bilfinger. These are companies that built our roads, airports, even the capital city. So this is the backbone was built by Germany. And of course, we do a lot of trade beyond oil, which we're trying to diversify from. And today we have a situation where Germany has the opportunity to apply its knowledge, its technology in terms of metals refining to Nigeria, particularly the electro minerals. So if we talk about lithium, we talk about copper, there is a lot of opportunity.
Of course. This is an area where both countries are looking for deeper cooperations. As you said, Nigeria has lithium and copper. How far could German technology and investment allow you to move forward?
Very much so, because our priority is job creation. It's food security, then job creation, because we have a very youthful population. Our population is 230 million. We're expected to be 400 million by 2050. That's only 25 years. And we would be the third largest country in the world. And this is something, so it's a race against time, but it's a match made in heaven, because at the same time, Germany has an aging population and it has a lot of world-class Mittelstands. So these are the sort of businesses we're looking to apply. And already there are quite a number of them that are doing interesting things in Nigeria. It's important for the two governments to pay attention to what private sector is doing and to support that in order to reinforce it.
Yeah, and it takes time to implement everything, to get critical minerals, especially. There are many preparatory stages. What needs to be done urgently to accelerate that process?
First and foremost, exploration, to give the businesses the confidence to come and invest and to exploit the minerals, the electro minerals especially. Secondly, the funding needs to be arranged, and this is why we are partnering with Germany on this green guarantee group that we were invited to co-chair, because African countries are scared of sovereign guarantees. They don't want to run into trouble, into debts. And you can see that we have another wave of debt crisis that some are even referring to as a development crisis. So, but if you have guarantees that are not attached to any sovereign pledge, then it makes it easier, and it has a multiplier effect by almost a factor of 5. So it's something that we could work together on.
What you have been describing, the population dynamics, is also a political weight. So we need to talk about geopolitics too. And the German Foreign Minister Wadefull compared this relationship, Germany and Nigeria, to a wedding anniversary, the Iron Wedding anniversary. How does German-Nigerian couple adapt to those challenging geopolitical times?
We have focused our approach on strategic autonomy, resting on the 4 pillars of democracy, demography, development, and diaspora. And we feel that with strategic autonomy, it's safer for countries like Nigeria, because through it you avoid ideological entanglements that could end up in trouble for us and for our neighborhood. We don't want to see private military companies operating in our neighborhood, and we end up being the playground of others, or the battleground, I should say, of others. So that's why with strategic autonomy, we want to engage with as many countries as possible based on shared interests, based on a convergence of needs. And the more the merrier. And that way trade flows, and you're not confined to one thing or the other, and you end up having to fight other people's conflicts. I think there are much more urgent issues for us. This youthful population, feeding them, providing them with jobs, that's our priority.
Mm-hmm. Still, the US has always been a strong partner too for you. In recent time, the US president has been criticizing Nigeria. How seriously do you counter the allegation by Donald Trump that your government is not doing enough against radical Islamists killing Christians in Nigeria?
I think we've explained ourselves, and my president put out a statement that explained everything. It speaks for itself. Nigeria's orientation itself is suited and is favorable to the United States of America. People like me, forget the fact that I even went to school in America. I actually grew up, the era during which I grew up, it was American music, it was American mode of dressing. So we are favorably disposed to the United States of America. But we also understand the workings of US domestic politics. The whole thing about Nigeria being listed on the countries of particular concern emanated from the legislative arm of the US government, and we were in touch with the executive arm, and they did not appear to be disposed to supporting that, but something may have changed. Maybe it's not having enough information, maybe it's not understanding how much the government was doing to fight terrorism in Nigeria, and you can see that the terrorists and the area that they operate in is the northeast of Nigeria, and it's a complex cross-border area. So they go back and forth. They run into Niger or into Chad or into Cameroon, and then sometimes they run back into Nigeria. And you know, you've got the Lake Chad there with hundreds of islands. So it's a very complex terrain. This is where Boko Haram operates. And that area is heavily populated by Muslims, because all the other countries also have a lot of Muslims there. But again, when you talk about herders and farmers, this is not some biblical conflict. It's not Cain and Abel. It's not that all the farmers are one religion and all the herders are the other. Nigeria is much, much more complex than that. You know, it's a mixture. And a lot of these herders are pagan. They don't even have any religion. They don't subscribe to any religion. So, and the same thing with farmers. You have a lot of farmers that are not religious. So, you know, but it requires a lot of understanding, and maybe this would present an opportunity for the world to look more at what is going on and have a better understanding, and that way it turns out to be a positive thing for Nigeria.
Yeah, I've been talking with the German government also about security cooperation. How far did you go? How can Germany help you with fighting terror? Is that still on the table?
Well, you heard what Minister Johann Weidepol said in his statement in German. He commended Nigeria for what it was doing in the fight against terrorism, and Germany has always been supportive of that, and has made it clear that it will continue to support our efforts in fighting terrorism, in fighting banditry, you know, and supporting us to tackle some of these security challenges. And a lot of these security challenges are actually brought about by exogenous factors, outside factors. It's not something that we have necessarily done wrong in Nigeria that has brought them about, but we're in the neighborhood, we're right next to the Sahel, so we have to contend with these issues.
Yeah, let's talk about the developments in Mali, for example. It's in the Sahel, and German army was there in the field as a part of United Nations missions until 2023, but we now see Germans are gone, everybody is gone. Russians are still there. We now see Islamist groups blocking fuel supplies. How dangerous are those developments for your country?
It's very dangerous. We already have groups like the Lakurawa that have moved into Nigeria from Mali. Because you see, people forget that the distance from a Nigerian border to Mali is only maybe a couple of hundred kilometers. It's not that far. There's a slither of Niger in between us, but beyond that, it's the same neighborhood. And at the moment, we're very concerned about what is going on, and we're looking, as usual, to support the government in Mali in whichever way we can. So even though the AES states have left ECOWAS, we continue to try our best to work with them in terms of security, in terms of other concerns of the region as a whole.
Nigeria is member of the African Union. Germany is member of the European Union. Is your country planning to also be member of the BRICS states, who are more and more empowered in recent times?
We want to join as many of these global platforms that allow for dialogue that can bring about development. So we've been pushing to become a member of a G20. We've been pushing to become a member of BRICS. Now we're just a BRICS partner. We're not a member. And we get invited regularly to G20 meetings. President Tinubu is going to the G20 summit in Johannesburg next week. So it's something that we feel Nigeria, by virtue of its size, by virtue of its population, the size of its economy, and looking into the future, the role it will continue to play. It needs to be on the decision-making table when decisions are to be made about the economy, about global politics. We need to be there, and others on the continent represent us because, trust us because we represent them well.
Please give me, at the end of this interview, your impression of how is the best case for Nigeria in like 2 years or 5 years, and how is the worst case?
Best case is that we become a member of the UN Security Council with veto powers like the Permanent Five. We join G20, we join BRICS, we create hundreds of jobs by partnering with countries like Germany through business process outsourcing, through all these services that are provided digitally. We partner with others to invest in food production to provide for our food security and as well as exporting. And we tackle the issue of electricity because we have a lot of gas and of course we have a lot of sun as well, so we produce enough electricity to cover the whole of Nigeria and also continue to provide for our neighbors, so that because Nigeria at the moment supplies gas to Benin, Togo, Ghana through a pipeline. Nigeria supplies electricity also from the Kayinji Dam built in 1964 with German collaboration, I might add, to Niger Republic. So, because it's not enough for us to just take care of our country, we also have to look after the neighborhood, and that way it's better for us.
And the worst case?
There's no worst case. I'm an optimist. I read Voltaire and Candide, the optimist, and I have a different take on Voltaire and Candide.
Let's leave it here. Thank you for your time, Honourable Minister.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thanks.